Oh,
it's a voting year. They were
all the
talking about
time.
minimum wage. Yeah, so like I get what you're saying because like what part of the reason I was also looking into the minimum wage situation is because like I think, and maybe it's true. I mean, I know we have different opinions. I think it's just easy for people to blindly shit on California, right?
Hmm.
Without doing certain research.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so I'm get like at this point now, I'm like, well, what is the truth of things, right? Like kind of like what you say, like maybe I'm looking at it more of a defensive thing to sit there and say, well, where does California really stand?
Hmm.
Because people say, oh, California's minimum wage is ridiculous. I just looked at it, like who do you think has the highest minimum wage?
Maybe like something like Vermont or New York or some weird shit like that, right?
Yeah, pretty close. Right now, I just saw and it's Connecticut,
Okay,
and
close.
that
Yeah,
oh
Connecticut
sorry,
makes sense.
not Connecticut. Sorry, I apologize. DC 1750.
It makes
Okay,
more sense. Yes, yes. DC
right.
makes sense. Yeah.
DC 1750. I think I saw New York was 15 to 16. California is 16. You have Connecticut that's 1569. You know, just other ones are between New York. Well, yeah, I said New York is 10 to 16. Rhode Island 14. Usually the northeast states seem to
Northeast.
be a little bit more
Yep.
expensive. Washington is 1628.
Washington State.
Washington State, yeah,
Ooh,
is
deep.
1620. Washington State is 1628. Washington is actually a little bit more expensive than California, like in certain, which surprises me.
But see, what's the headline? California sucks.
And that's the thing, right? Like because the statement is one thing, and it's like, and we as California, we're going to hear what we're going to hear too,
Of course,
right?
of course, of course.
But and actually, because California is so, I don't know if it's regarded or not. I mean, I think you think it used to be, but now people try to say it's easy to just talk trash upon. You know, kind of like sometimes I think it's easy to talk trash upon any president or the United States. Like
Same.
we just like to do that. Like we're
Yeah.
very we're blessed to have free speech, but we are entitled to say and think and say whatever, which usually now seems to be, in my opinion, negative. Even me saying this right now might come up a negative. That's the funny part. So, like, the reason I looked into it is just because it was like, all right, well, I was looking at, like I said, offline. Let's talk about how minimum wage is 725, and you're right. Usually, majority of the time, it is different in different states. This is below. This is the lowest that you can go in the state of whatever, right?
Or government would come up in there and be like, "Yo,
Yeah,
what the fuck's going
yeah,
on?" Yeah.
right. And other places have. I mean, shoot, even Puerto Rico's 1050. But you have places, and it's kind of funny. Um, you have places like Mississippi completely makes sense to me at 725. You have Mississippi 725, North Carolina 725, North Dakota 725, Northern Marina Islands. I don't even know. I didn't even know. I guess that must be a province or something.
Hmm.
Um, Oklahoma 725, Pennsylvania 7. Pennsylvania, that surprises me.
Yeah, Pacific Northwest. Interesting. Interesting.
Pennsylvania 725, South Carolina, I think I already said that, South Dakota, Tennessee 725, Texas 725, Utah surprises me 725.
Hmm.
Um, and Wisconsin, Wyoming, um, Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana.
Midwest, all
They
low.
Midwest, but also certain particular states, right?
Boom.
Um,
Confederate states.
Georgia, yeah, like Georgia, um, America Samoa. What? Why is America? Now I
Hmm.
have to look into that.
Yeah,
What
America
is
Samoa.
America Samoa? That's
Samoa.
the
Yeah, we like
yeah,
some
yeah.
have some weird
Are
deal with
we?
them.
Well, it's just like side note. I mean, well, not side note. We can go just to like Puerto Rico is uh
U.S.
U.S.
territory.
property, right?
Hmm.
U.S. territory, but they can compete against us in the United States in the Olympics.
In the Olympics, dude, that makes no sense. I
It's so
realized that
it's so
too.
funny. It's so funny to be like, what? And then it's kind of like this weird where it's like, all right, it's American territory, and then they'll like shit on, yeah, Puerto Rico, and
Oh,
like,
Puerto
all
Rico's
right,
hella
bitch,
poor too, man.
all right, bitch, we're just gonna cut you off from all this stuff. If you're trying to talk trash if you beat America, you're technically a part of us, dude.
That's kind of how it is. I heard that when they get freight, as a boat, it has to come to America first before it goes to Puerto Rico.
Oh yeah, Puerto Rico
They can't get
is.
it direct like that because they're us. Even though they're their own, like you said, they compete in Olympics. I'm like America
Yeah,
Samoa, same thing.
yeah, I have to like figure that out because I'm like, you have America Samoa, which is also like, I think Guam. Yeah, Guam was 925, which Guam was
Guam,
also expensive.
yep, Guam,
Hawaii
yep.
is $14, which makes sense because, um, like just Hawaii, just very because of tourism. It's very like the people there are broke in comparison to what they bring in.
I
You know,
think they
like
base it off of like what we view it as and what the media views it as. That's what it feels like. It's like,
well,
man, California's the best place. Man, that place is going to be expensive. New York, boom. Connecticut, where all the fucking big, boom. Hawaii, for sure up. Washington, I'm assuming it's just always been high. Pacific Northwest, West Coast, big
mhm.
city, high population. The more people gravitate there, it's up there. More rural
Yeah,
areas, it seems.
for
But
sure.
then
It's not
Florida,
like yeah.
Texas, it's almost like, oh, these are the Confederate states. And we still gonna shit on these people. That's what it feels like because the media always shits on them.
Who
Regardless of
like Florida and Texas?
politics. Yeah,
Florida and Texas.
and
I
all
mean,
the
well,
South for
yeah,
that
yeah.
matter. All the South
I
for
mean,
that matter.
Alabama, right? Alabama,
Alabama,
like
Mississippi,
Mississippi. I don't ever want to go to Mississippi.
Carolinas.
But, I don't know. It's weird because always wanted to go to North Carolina, but not South Carolina. Not sure why.
See,
Um,
strange that is. Why is that?
but I mean, you can say the same media shits on California. Like
Yeah, see,
not the same one, but the opposite one,
the
right?
opposite. Yes,
Because
yes.
like one of the greatest Republicans came from California,
Ronald Reagan.
Reagan. You know,
Exactly. I think it's almost like a ploy. It's almost like a game of chicken with the people that live here. Hey man, your place
mm.
is fucking up now. You guys got to leave. But it is bad, man. I gotta go.
Yeah,
What the fuck did I go for?
because I think I just saw that Chevron's, which is surprising because like I think Chevron's headquarters just left California, which is like which surprises me more so is like yeah, like you going to Texas makes sense because Chevron, as far as an oil company, you're thinking like it would align more with a Texas base, which I'm surprised it was the headquarters here, right? But
It's strange. It
the
is
reason I say this
strange.
because I was watching a streamer, and he was talking about how um he went off on a vacation or whatever and came back. His house was broken into in LA or whatever. And he said he's tired of California. He had moved out from Chicago to California to LA area. It looked like he was a COD streamer, like a COD streamer. Um, and I think it's someone of like 100 Thieves is the name of the company, right? And so he's like, "Man, I'm just tired of Texas or California, moving to Texas, so blah blah." And I just thought it was kind of funny because that's like to me right now that is the default statement for everyone leaving California to go to Texas. Second is Nevada, which I kind of understand more Nevada than this because it's not too far, and
True.
most people from California like to go to Vegas anyway or
That's
Nevada. You
true.
know what I'm saying?
Might as well
It's a
put
neighboring
yeah.
state. It's a
Yep.
neighboring state, so it makes a little bit sense.
I
Or
mean,
even
the
if you
two
went to,
places people go, it's like it's associated with California, Vegas
yeah,
and Reno. So
yeah,
it's like,
yeah. Or I mean, the only thing I'm like, I guess so. Like people would move up and move to get in that heat. There's if you live in heat, you can live in Barstow. I'm pretty sure there's cheap
that's true.
houses out there. But anyway, so he was saying that, and then it got me going down this whole thing. Like, and yes, I have my own bias to it, but I'm like, it's as I look at this person, and I'm judging as I look at this person, and I see the progression of his style of stuff, right, which is very, in its own way, streamlined its own self statement, right? You got a person who plays Call of Duty, like probably a person who loves Call of Duty, loves to watch UFC, probably has a fade, listens to rap, but doesn't really, but isn't, like he probably listens to the trap music and all the stuff that's mainstream, but
Mhm.
isn't of a certain ethnicity, right? And then it's like, all right, let me taking all this stuff and I move out to California because that's the hot thing to do because we're going to be partying. I'm living it up. I'm living the California life. I'm making a bunch of money off of this. I'm doing that now. I got broken into because whatever happens, and it's like, California's crime is this and that, and now I'm going to go to Texas. Now I will say this: as a streamer, it makes sense, right? If your money is not solely tied to California, then it makes sense to go to a place in which that money is the same money no matter where you're going. You know what I'm saying? So of course,
Tax
if your money is
friendly.
not tied, yeah, if you're not like like I mean, Tiger Woods is in California. That I think he resides in Florida. You know, this is a guy that's born in California, has a school, has donating stuff, but resides in Florida because of taxes or whatever. You know,
Tax purposes.
it's beneficial for people who have money. I mean, same thing I think with Shaq or whatever. Even though he
Oh, everybody lives in
love
Miami.
LA, yeah,
Yeah.
everybody lives in Florida until or is a resident of Florida until I mean not until when it definitely
Oh yeah.
helps them financially, right?
Almost been forever. I would almost contend and say that most people have their main residency in Florida, but they'll to the public say that I live here because most of the time they'll be there, but have enough days in Florida to be still a resident.
Yeah, yeah, and in tax purposes, it just makes more sense. You know what I'm saying? You're like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, I got here, but boom, boom, right? I'm a resident. But yeah, so I say all that because it's like I see the dude doing that, and I'm just like, this makes me wonder. Is like, well, when I heard him say that, that's why I went down the whole thing of, well, how bad is California crime? How bad is California's school system? You know, I think their public school system is 37. Last time I checked, it was 37, and Texas was like 28, right? Something like that ranking.
Mm-hmm.
That's the public school system. But California ranks like in the top 10 for overall education, mainly because the colleges are amazing. So,
Higher
but these are
education.
the little things. Yeah, there's the little things that I was looking into where it's just like
Mm-hmm.
the variation of these different states that people say they're moving to aren't far different than California. I think just the what is being said, and also at the same time, these people are living in like you said, as you live into more populated cities, you're going to have more crime.
Yeah, it's just inherent. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So when if you're living in a certain area, you're going to have more crime in that area. You know.
Yeah. It's like it's
Um,
too general. The generalization, I think, is the problem. I think we have an interesting talking point only because we are in California, but we're in the capital, and the
mhm,
capital is not popular by any means. It's the third or fourth, fifth ranked city, maybe in our own state, based on
mhm,
just popularity, right? Not to say being
yeah.
popular is better, but we are
Popular as in like total population, or are you talking about okay?
pop culture, like pop culture
Oh,
narrative,
oh,
narrative,
okay, yeah, yeah, yeah.
like California sucks, but LA is amazing, or California sucks, but San Diego's dope. Oh, California is shit, but the Bay is the best, or and then Sacramento, oh, Cowtown, whatever. But
Yeah, 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 I get it.
that's the narrative. So now living here, it's like, uh, it's strange, because like we talk about off and on, it's like there's definitely parts of California that profile as very, more conservative areas, and then you have
Yeah,
more, liberal areas. Some not openly stated, but it's a quite the blend. It's an interesting city in the way that it's flattened. So it's spaced out a lot more. But yeah, I think everything you're saying is pretty accurate, and I think the narrative of going to Texas is almost like it's a certain programming because Texas forever you would think, oh man, like white honkies and white trash people, and it's they don't know nothing out there. That's the initial thought from me being born till more
mm,
recently. So now this exodus
yeah,
of people going there in Florida, it's almost like, dude, this, if anything, is the first time that those states are now being intermingled with people from the West, based after like the Civil War, to varying degrees. This is a big migration, or at least in narrative, big migration. I don't even think there's that many people going, to be honest. I think they're just trying to, play a game of chicken with people. Because I've already known people that went there and already came back. Like,
yeah, yeah. And I've also said that saw people go and leave and come back, right? And it's
mhm.
actually funny you said it because one of the things I used to think that way, and then when I joined the Navy, you know, every state has their talking shit to, right? And every state got their love, but I did find that certain people that were in my job title from Texas to Florida were very intelligent people, right? And so you're
Mhm.
talking, and it's like it's funny because when you start to talk to them, and some of their education is different. And I felt like I went to well, then again, I'll say I went to a bad school for 3 years of my high school. You know, I will say that I was like I was kind of impressed, and it broke the
It's not
narrative of
growth.
what I knew of, right? The stigma.
Mm-hmm.
But most people I ever met that was from that in that same thing were chill people from these areas. I can get
Mm-hmm.
along. They weren't obviously extreme. And the more I'm watching certain people on like YouTube, certain people is like, oh, I sound and act just like this person. They live in Houston, Texas, or whatever. Well,
Mm-hmm.
now granted, we don't know if they moved or migrated, but I'm sitting there like, oh, it's in certain towns and cities, there's actually a similar narrative no matter where you're at, you know. But what's being shown to us is the extreme. You know, I had someone really well, this is years ago. I mean, things really changed. I remember a girl came from North Carolina to visit. And was like, I thought California was nothing but beaches and blonde people. And it's like, nah, like you got like even when you're talking about California, it's like one of the things I always think about California is Fresno for some reason. Fresno, Modesto, all that area, right? Because that's a large section of California that's always overlooked,
Oh yeah,
right?
that's like 50%.
Right, that whole section is like overlooked and does a lot of farming, right? A lot of cat like a lot of migrant workers that live there. If that make you know what I'm saying? Like a
Yeah,
lot of Latin
the
culture.
workforce
The
lives
work
there.
like yeah, the workforce live there, right? Because I did a research. I was not did research. I was looking things up. I was like, you know, they say that California's education system sucks. I was like, okay. And then I started looking at it. Majority of it, when you talk about what's holding down the bad education, is Central California. And when you start to look into it more, it's like, oh, this is not this is not to chastise a group of people or to catch any dispersion on anybody. But as I look into it, it's like, what happens with that community of people that live there? A lot of them are either taking care of their family, have to stop education to do the family business or whatever is keeping that town viable, which is usually farming or something else, right? So education is not the main thing, right? Just like in many cases of people in bad neighborhoods, they stop school. Why? Because like their mom's struggling, their family's struggling. No one's made it past a certain thing. They're like, school doesn't matter. Making that money to provide for the family matters.
Mhm.
You know?
It's an
Uh,
adaptability that humans make for some reason.
yeah,
And it's like happening in real time. If we focus on, let's just say, blacks and, you know, brown people, whether it's immigrants
yeah.
that have come in or immigrants that have been here for a while or people that were even second gen born here. It's almost like the lifestyle change if we had to guess. Obviously, I don't
Mm-hmm.
know, even for myself, I don't know my distant relatives. It's a little hazy, with yourself. Most people don't know a lot past their grandmas, like I always say. So understanding what lifestyle that was that they had to what we're living today. Oh, of course we're in a like a whirlwind, along with everything they're showing us. It's like you almost feel
Mm-hmm.
like you have where do you put your focus and where do you put your intent and all those things combined. At least this is as a 40-year-old male in today's world. It's like we're not young and we're not necessarily old,
Mm-hmm.
but my mind and my know and how and why and what I do and the inner thoughts that I have and my opinions, it's like I have to reflect that off of my environment. This can't be the only thing I'm seeing. Luckily, I've traveled. I've been very fortunate to travel in my lifetime, as well as
Mm-hmm.
yourself. And you realize like most people don't travel, so those same stigmas don't really ever change. If not, just become more, uh, just becoming more dug in.
Reinforce.
Yeah, reinforced. So as you get older, it's just that's your perception. Then you pass that down to your 20 friends and like, oh, but yeah, he knows, he told me. And then that's as easy as that information spreads, especially if you're not out there and you don't have to travel. But the internet has definitely done um, a service and the idea that you can see different things in real time through POV of other people enough to at least just give you an idea. Where before you had no fucking clue. You're in an encyclopedia reading about a place. Like, so there's that. But traveling, it does scale everything back to like, oh man, most of us is trying to do the same thing. Just, enjoy the day, have a couple laughs, see your friends, see some loved
Mm-hmm.
ones, eat a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Watch a good movie, and then, get to sleep and then do it again all over and try to figure it out along the way. Because even when you go to the foreign countries, you can't know what's going on. But if you sit there and you watch people, you would think you're just in any other fucking city.
Yeah, I mean, different customs, but then you adapt to it. Like, oh, It's like a dance. It's like you trying to get on a dance floor. You're watching it. You're like, okay. Now I got that. All right, cool.
Mhm.
Now I just fit right in. I may not be as smooth as you, but I can now
Yeah.
dance with you. You know what
Yep.
I'm saying?
See?
But that comes from people who are willing to take the time and analyze that. There's, well, maybe I'm gonna speak from perception of American culture, but maybe there's a lot of Americans that feel it that don't feel that they need to do that. That
I could definitely see that. I could definitely see that. We think we're better than them.
because we think. I mean Olympics, right? Because I'm like, you know what I'm saying? You ain't getting gold, you ain't shit, bro. You know what I'm saying?
That's
You ain't,
true.
and like that's even though it's like you are talking about the best of the best in the world, right? And
Yeah.
and let's kind of what I'm gonna shit on California or United States for a minute, right? We should be the best because we're one of the countries that got 300 million plus people.
Come on, man. We got all
That
these
means
medals
that
because we
means
got a competitor in every single fucking thing.
exactly we got 300 plus million people. So why aren't we like when? Well, of course we're gonna win more medals. The only one that should be close to us is China because they
Which
got
they
a
can't
billion.
compete, which they can't compete, or they're
Well,
always like kicked out
with
every
they
other year or something like that.
mm,
Russia, same thing, sanctions on them.
usually they compete. They compete in very high how can I say it very high technical fields or jobs
Yes, yes.
like synchronized swimming.
Synchronized
I'm really
swimming.
surprised. I'm really surprised on how I don't know if it's I haven't been watching this, so take it with a grain of sugar. But I'm really surprised on how well our ladies gymnasts have become, considering when I grew up, China and Russia were some of the most elite gymnasts,
Elite.
and then all of a sudden, I think it was maybe in 1996 or so, or was it 92?
Yeah, whenever Russia fell and China was going through their shit.
Yeah, then
Basically.
all of a sudden then all of a sudden it was US, right? And then there's all
Yeah.
of a sudden I feel right now this is all of a sudden now judges prefer American gymnasts.
Well, for sure.
Because I really feel like there's been times showing like before American gymnasts didn't get fair. Like you can say that like it gymnast is a weird one because it's all on judgment and not necessarily. I mean, it is your skill, but it's a judgment thing, right? So you have judges that will score you, while most of the other ones are on physical attributes of beating someone.
Hmm.
You know,
There's this
like
definitive win lose.
right, like yeah, definitive win and lose. You got to time, boom, boom. While the other ones, I personally don't think judgment. I don't like this is not against gymnasts. I don't think judgment sports should be in Olympics because it's kind of an opinion base.
More and more room for like scrutiny. It takes
More and
away
more
from
rivers.
what its purpose is.
Now that does not mean that it shouldn't be an enjoyment. I'm just saying
Hmm.
like because of, and it's not even trying to shit on anybody. I'm not trying to like what the women gymnasts have done. I'm just saying in the sense of like it leaves room for error and human error.
Hmm. Oh, it's like judging dance. It's like what the fuck? Like,
Yeah, because I
what are
think
we doing?
breakdancing and
Hmm.
like breakdancing was becoming a part of it. Then
I
you can
agree.
say the same thing with boxing though.
Yeah. Why
With
have we
boxing,
gotten better? I think we just promote it better now, where Russia and China probably were promoting it really big to the point where,
mm,
see, and I don't know how that works. You know me, I got to look at everything as a business. Let's just say we are the Olympics, right? You trying to
yeah,
sell the idea. So if back then, because Russia, if we're thinking it's all those countries combined before they broke, and then they have these, like 6 foot supermodels that do gymnasts and that do swimming, you're
mm,
like, this is great for the Olympics. Like
yeah,
look at our village, Olympic village, and then you got the Chinese coming in. You're like, dude, these fools are technically sound, both what they make and how they do the Olympics. Their branding is
mm,
on point. And then they disband or whatever shit they go through. And then now it's America, and maybe as a business we're like,
that's
viewership's
true.
down by like 50%, but all we got is America. Hey, America, we need you to bring LeBron. We need you to bring Curry. We need you to bring breakdancing, bring that skateboard shit, whatever it
Oh,
is, whatever's trending.
so you're saying that NBA viewership was down 50%?
Olympics viewership's
Oh,
down.
but yeah. Okay, yeah, for sure. And I get
But
it, like,
they're saying
because
like
honestly,
it's a lot.
I haven't been watching it. I've only caught. I haven't been watching it mainly. I think this is why I haven't been watching it
Uh,
because they're saying Olympic viewership is down, but also Olympic viewership has changed. What does
yeah,
that mean?
yeah.
We do not. Most people are now on streaming services and
Hmm.
do not want to download another app to
Hmm.
pay for to watch this thing. Before we
Hmm.
grew up, it was on CNBC or CBS or NBC or
Hmm.
whatever, right?
Hmm.
Most people had that channel for free.
Hmm.
Now, I'm pretty sure if I was to hook up a antenna, I could watch it. Right?
Yes,
I ain't doing that
yes.
shit. I'm lazy. Fuck that. I
Nobody
ain't
ain't
doing
doing that. No
that.
one ain't
Right?
doing that.
I ain't got time for that.
Ain't
So
got
that's
time for that.
also a reason that viewership is down. Because
Hmm.
now that everything has a paid app and is in streaming, because more people are streaming stuff, of course,
Yep, exactly. And that's worldwide. They said they was like trending at like 28, 29. I think like 2008, 9, whenever the last or whatever that year
Mm-hmm.
was, it was like 60 milli worldwide, which, sounds very minuscule, but you got to think it's a battle for who's watching in the eyes, at least that's household. And what
That
this
is not
event
that
does,
much.
it isn't, but what the event does as a world culturally. Like I think you hit it on the head when you were talking about like back then we was clicked in on TV and there was a network that was free. So they probably took the hit for that. But now that it's more of a money making thing, all right, NBC, we're partnering up. We got to make some dough on this. Boom, we got all these, countries already bought into this idea, but slowly but surely you're like, all right, well, China ain't in and Russia ain't in, whatever they're going through, or why certain countries are in, certain countries aren't. Well, this Olympic shit's starting to lose its luster a little bit. We need to kick it into high gear or something. And this, I think, Olympics proves that, and not to say the controversy that's surrounding it with all the, headlines that you'll read. Even though I don't watch it, those headlines are, glaring. Obviously, sports shows will do it. So in my mind, I'm thinking I mean, unfortunately, they have to follow the entertainment route. Like, yo, we need to not necessarily they're putting it
Oh,
there. They're just gonna really highlight those things as that's the talking point. And I'm like, I guess, that's just reflective of our culture today, but whatever.
yeah, it's really weird because, like, all right, so the opening thing for, I guess, Olympics was highly on like gay transgender stuff, which has been an issue. Now, I don't know the world issue. I don't know American issue, so I can't sit here and see. I've heard that France is a little bit more open.
Oh, they're the first
However,
gayest.
right, or yeah. However, as I watched it and I saw that, I was just thinking like it kind of it's funny how it all coalesced with what's going on in America with people upset at the woke culture. However people feel about it. I think that, like, for me, like I said, there is a extremeness unwoke, and there's a part two where I'm like, well, what part do people also can have a story, but how much? You know,
Mhm.
like, are you doing this to tell a good story, or are you doing this to show gay empowerment or whatever, or women empowerment to take away from someone? First of all, I'm going to say this no matter what. This is my fucking belief. I don't care what the fuck you are. You don't have to take away from someone else to bring more to yourself. That's the most important thing I want to say about all this bullshit. Whatever is going on, you don't have to take away from someone for you to gain something. That shit is just getting out of hand, right?
Mhm.
I don't have to take away from you, a Filipino man, to prop myself up as a black man. That doesn't make
Mhm.
sense.
Mhm.
It should be an abundance, and that's the thing. I'll end with, regardless. All right. Um, so with that being said, things that all coalesce with that, and they're seeing that on the Paris Olympics, right? And then you have this statement. I have to do more research about this female boxer, and some people say she is and is not. It's like, you know, I just think it's weird and funny how that, like, it aligns. And this is where you can go into your Illuminati statement, right? It aligns with what's going on in the United States and issues, especially during uh election year. I just thought it's kind of like
Convenient.
it's weird, don't you think? It's like
Convenient.
rain, right?
Hmm.
It's
Convenient.
uh, it's just, yeah, kind of.
It's convenient. It's very convenient. I mean, like I'm with you on that too. I'm trying to look at that as a I'm not trying to get too emotional about it. I'm trying to keep cool as much as I can, even though I am emotional sometimes. But I look at that and I try to really like layer myself out little by little and just not
Hmm.
be emotional and just look at it and see both sides. Like we're arguing because there's a side that says, "Hey, don't pull that shit around my fucking TV. I don't need this thrown down my face." I was like, okay, I could see that because clearly the programming start to finish in most avenues, both kids and adults. It
Hmm.
has
Yeah.
CP. That's obvious. Is that bad or good? I mean, if it's free reign to make entertainment and that just happens to be the preferred choice and go into that deal, so be it. You don't have to watch it. Plenty of other different,
Yeah.
shit going on. So I get that. And then you got the people defending it, like, hey, regardless if they're not a woman, but if they feel like it, and they went through the proper checkpoints to get there, whatever bullshit you think that is, or it's okay, cool, and then have it be as it may. And then I get that in the humanity sense. Being a human being, I guess, is a lot more intricate. So if they're going through some stuff, I see the empathy, but I know it's a very small percentage. But still, human's a human. Every life is us in reflection. So you could take that wholesome way. I totally get
Yeah.
that.
Oh man, bar. That's a sorry. I'm gonna write that one because that's a bar. Because every time I do something and I judge someone and I say something, I have to take a step back and look at myself. You
Mm-hmm.
know,
Mm-hmm.
like even if I don't like it, sometimes speaking on it doesn't need to be said. You can just like it in silence, or just like it in silence, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like just for devil's advocate, there can be men like, ugh, I can't stand these hoes with big ass titties, blah blah blah. Hey, she'll fuck. Oh,
I'm down. Do you know? It all changes. Exactly.
it
It
all
goes.
changes, right?
It all
And it
changes.
is like you can sit there and say you don't prefer that, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can not prefer certain things, but if it comes with no issues or strings attached, you'll probably do it. You
Mm-hmm.
know,
Mm-hmm.
or you might judge someone on certain things, and then you're like, oh my god, I can't believe this person sins, and it's like, hey, you just woke up and masturbated or whatever. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying? Watching some
Boom.
dirty
You
movies, like
busting nuts
what's
on the
going
wall.
on? Yeah,
Exactly.
yes, yeah,
Exactly.
like
You over here
you know what I'm
having
saying?
dirty
So
thoughts.
dirty thoughts, and it's just like yeah. And then you can go into the thin line of like, well, I didn't execute, whatever,
Yeah,
right?
you get
Just the
semantics.
point. The
Yes.
point is,
Yes.
the point is this: is that we all, one of the major things in the Bible is like he has a sin cast first stone, and that's why sometimes I'm a person that doesn't. I may seem like I'm too in the middle of things because I too make mistakes and sin and don't know.
Mm.
Doesn't mean I can't be angry about something.
Oh, of course.
You can have feelings. You can sometimes pick a side. That's
We
fine,
both about feelings, bro. This is
right?
the most
Well,
feminine man podcast ever, bro.
and it is because here's the
We
weird thing
have
because
to
I
be. It's my nature, bro. I'm not gonna
no
far
no
from it.
no 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 it's funny because we were talking a while ago and sometimes you say you have feelings and sometimes you don't, right? That's what you stated, right? And then there's parts where I'm just like this idea of a man and being stoic and not having feelings is like okay. Then I'm sitting there like, what is it to be a human then if you don't have feelings? If you're supposed to be stoic on everything and not have feelings, then how do you know? Do you love?
See? The
Do you have
conundrum of
passion?
man right there.
Do you, do
That's
you have
the age
do
old
you have
question.
passion? The same people who get up every day that work out is like, I'm just stoic. I work out, blah blah blah. There's something that's bringing joy out of that, or something that you're doing.
Yep.
And to me, I think there's emotions in everything. So this whole stoicism is like kind of not true. Now it's maybe to rein it down a little bit, not be ruled by your emotions is fine. But to sit there and act like you shouldn't have emotions is like it's kind of stupid to me
True.
because great things are created from emotions. Great film, great movies. There's been movies that made people cry. There's been songs that push people to do things. So that is the human nature is to have feelings. If not, then we might as well just create fucking robots.
Maybe that's why where we're at. It's almost trying to find that balance of how much do you not be human in the approach versus embrace your emotion. I think that's what we're going through as a maybe society as well. Men in particular. I don't know about women, like I say, so I can't truly speak on that from standpoint. But for men, it's almost like the game is amongst us secretly is I'm trying to be the most. I'm trying to fucking rule the world. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The intentions behind that can be evil or good, but essentially that is more or less a themed goal when guys look at guys, whether it's to the what I'm wearing, to what I'm driving, to what my opinion is. It's veiled in that way. At least that's how I come to understand the game of man. Some take it more competitively and seriously. Some are very lackadaisical. Some might just be NPCs, for the most part. But I
Yeah,
think that's the general
like
game.
Mark Zuckerberg, like Zuckerberg.
Exactly. Elon Musk, Bezos, at least
Yeah.
it's still in the same form. Like this guy got the most shit, got the hottest bitch. You know what I'm saying? I'm buff. I could kill you. I do jujitsu. Whatever it is you got to add to your resume and that idea. That is the veiled competition amongst men. And I think like,
Mm-hmm.
Stoicism, like Marcus Aurelius, right? Great book, Stoicism. I think that's just like a fraction of the experience from a guy's standpoint. That tool, depending on the person and how in tune you are with yourself, can be very useful for people that maybe need an extra uh,
Extra,
reading, a
extra.
visual to kind of get the mechanism down to really repeat being an emotional person maybe, or it's
Mm-hmm.
somebody that feels stoicism brings them some type of peace, and that's why the emotions thing is so untapped, is because maybe there was a suppression of emotion from the generation before where, like you said, it's to the point where it was debilitated. You know what I'm saying? Like it was they weren't even allowed to live their life in whatever way they did because it was so suppressed. So now we're trying to unearth it, however that may be. It's kind of strange because I'm with you. Like I said, I'm by virtue very feminine signs, so the emotions is there and I'm very sensitive. So but I could understand when you say like that's the same feeling behind the shit that brings my most happiness, and
Mm-hmm.
that's the shit that also brings me down to like my most, like, oh, this is dark. Like I'm dark passenger riding right now. Like I'm driving highway, no lights, dark passenger.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
what?
yeah. Drunk. Fuck it.
Yeah, straight up.
They're like, fuck it, right? Yeah.
We got to scratch that. It's a dangerous service. But as we get older, I think, like, I told you like a couple pods ago, it was like off camera on like what you've been through, right?
Mm.
You're almost like, yo, man, dude, this shit's just, it's taxing sometimes. I was like, oh, man, this has been a run, you know, for you. And the way you've handled, the most recent, kind of situation, it's like, yeah, it was a little more calming. You're like, all right, here, I just got to, get up there, get my mindset right, eat good, and your approach is different, and that's kind of those things where it's like, see, and that's even at the lowest point, it's this, you keep going. And in the man of man, it's like once you get the, quote unquote ego out, or you play your own game, you realize the game
Mm-hmm.
is your versus yourself, you know, and everything around you is depending on how you view it. Abundance. If you're abundance,
Ooh.
then everybody around you now is, a helping character. If you're not of abundance and scarcity, you walking through your video game like, shit, I'm about to have to duel with this
And
motherfucker. I'm about to.
yeah, and some of it is how you're raised of not, like the abundance or not, Um, certain parents may come from nothing, so they pass on that trauma or whatever they want to call it, because where they say the sin of your father is the sin of the son, and really, I think it's just the traditions, because the mindset that you have, you might accidentally pass it on to your kids because you're they're around it all the time. Just like anybody growing up in certain neighborhoods, they're going to act a certain way, so you learn from that. So I do agree, and it's funny because I went to go play tennis earlier with with a mutual friend, right, Mike, and it was like I was talking about how I don't want to play basketball anymore because it's not about so much. It's me not being good, but it's also me battling who I used to be, and that's one of the hardest things that you do, right? Like I can pick up tennis because I never played it, and I'll try to learn it, and it's gonna be fun. But if I went to go play basketball, it won't be as fun because I'm always trying to get back to what I used to be or what I could have done, and that's not there anymore. And depending on, well, this is not what I said then. Later down, I realized that too. Sometimes about growth is to shed or let go of other things, right? But at that time, I was talking mainly about understanding that you sometimes are just battling about your own self and where you place yourself. And sometimes that self could be like you kind of judge someone else, but you're really judging them through you. Like if that makes any sense at all, whatever. Someone drop a like if you hear us or say amen on our podcast or whatever. I don't know. But you're judging someone else because it's either a jealousy or things that you don't like, but it's like an insecurity on yourself, you know? Sometimes you
Projecting.
can just not like sometimes you can just not like someone. That's fine. But I think essentially it's usually a reflection of yourself,
Mm,
you
yeah.
know.
Hmm. Projecting, as they
You
say,
know.
you're saying it to someone really, but you're talking to yourself. That's why it's like I almost prescribe partly sometimes to that idea that, your surroundings, it's like they're specifically placed. This isn't,
Hmm.
I can't say it's for the whole entire time, but there are moments in your life where maybe, yeah, these characters have been placed in your proximity to, reflect your own self. That's why it's like I don't even get mad sometimes at, certain situations maybe or certain events that happen with a certain set of people, whether, in a setting of work or a setting of, sociability. It's like almost like you look at it and then if you really, take a deep step back, you're like, damn, that's a little bit of me. Yeah, I
Yeah.
could relate to that. That's me. Damn, did they do
Yeah.
that to kind of get me to realize that? Like, what is this? And then playing those little mind games, as we get older, the
Hmm.
mind, real estate, we have so many memories, we have so many thoughts, we have so many, life's just going through, and then it don't help with the internet and all that shit. Information overload, as we've talked about, and, you know, nuclear runaway, whatever, thermal runaway,
Yeah,
nuclear
yeah,
runaway.
what I brought it a long time ago with the battery.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Same,
thermal
same.
runaway. Yeah, is that
Afraid
you
of wearing
just
a
implode on
battery.
yourself, right?
Exactly. We have a
Uh,
limited
no,
memory here,
yeah, and it's crazy because like as I'm going through certain things going on right now, my as far as life, it's like I'm not trying to hold on to people that don't want to be there. I still love the people and everybody that's came into my life. Um,
Same.
but I'm trying to. I think one of the things I have to learn is to let go because what holding on to, I told my friend Steven earlier, is that sometimes I'm holding on that like I know that we are once we're gone, we're gone. And I don't know if there's an afterlife or not. I don't know if there's heaven or not. I'm just going off of what I know now, and so I can go see that. It's all theory. You know what I'm saying? Doesn't mean I don't believe. I'm just saying, I believe in a maker, but as far as heaven, and so I can see it. I'm one of those people that's it's like I don't know, right? So I act as though that if I don't see you anymore and that doesn't exist, then I just want to know the people I love that I cherish them. But I also come from a place of maybe not abundance, but like of scarcity. I mean, like like meaning like my dad died young, my aunt died young. I've been in situations where I've been close to death, and so I'm trying to hold on because really I do just love the friends, and I know that I'll be dead longer than I am alive, and I'll never get to experience these things again, or at least to me, I'll never get to experience these things again with the people I care about.
Mm.
So I probably, even in relationships, and some relationships and some not, right? You know, you overdo it. Some of
That's
them
yeah.
you don't because you're either in shock on how you've been like, well, someone treats you the way that you've always wanted, and you don't know how to act. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm. Human
Like,
interaction is strange, man.
and then it's supposed to be one way of how to respond.
I mean, it's a game of chicken, you know? You're coming in with your best foot, depending on whose game
Hmm.
plan works, and then you're slowly trying to unveil your true self little by little,
Hmm.
and hopefully the person don't run away. In the meantime, trying to maintain like a level of continuity, and this goes for all interactions, you know, short-lived, long-lived. It's maintaining that and, really trying to get to chemistry, a vibe, energy. Like it's so intricate how humans are and how we interact. and that's why you bring it to today. You're like, that is strange because I think there is a reshuffling of the program and they're kind of scrambling things for a little bit just to kind of get things in line to move forward with a new way we embrace everything, and it's mindset, you got to really hold on tight, stay cool, act as if you've been there, and then just kind of
Mm-hmm.
ride the wave, and lean on the people you lean on. If you need a smile or a laugh, tap in, call it up and, go back in time or, chuckle and laugh at everything around you. It's a trip. We're in a psychedelic movie every time you wake up, man. It's literally it's this movie, and it
Yeah,
slowly changes.
you go to sleep, you time travel to waking up.
Oh, dude, sleeping just ever so effortlessly to just the comfort of knowing that you're gonna wake up tomorrow. It's like not even guaranteed. That's how trippy we are.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm just gonna unplug for 8 hours, even though my body's still gonna know what to do when my mind is somewhere else. Like,
Nah, man. There was a. I think I told you this. There was a short time, the beginning of this year, where and maybe even like a little bit last year, I was going to sleep and I was, I was going to sleep just praying that I'll wake up the next day. And then when I wake up, I'll just like, thank you for giving me another day.
mm,
It's like, I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
mm-hmm.
And you just wake up and just and hope that you wake up the next day. And then you should be thankful. But sometimes you're like, oh shit, some of this bullshit's about to pop off again. You know what I'm saying? Although you should really be thankful that you woke up. You're thinking like, fuck, bills. Fuck. Wife is yelling at me. Fuck. Kids got mud butt.
There's that. That's why it's
You know what
all
I'm
it's
saying?
all
Like,
beautiful, man.
fuck.
That's why the ups give you the downs and the downs give you the ups. It's cool like that, The wave is cool. The significance of a wave and the tide and the moon and the sun and the balance and just all these things combined. It's really if you're a mathematician, man, when you see a real, equation or a thing on the board being worked through and you could really, see the work to get to the quote unquote answer or, whatever you have to marvel at that, and that's in the most rudimentary form in numbers and sequencing, right? But then you equate that to like buildings, equate that to, nature, equate that to whatever you deem beautiful, you a photographer, you see it all the time, living, non-living, or in my opinion, all living, obviously. Um, and that's kind of just it's a mindset, I guess, and
Yeah.
that's kind of that weird game that we're all going through because along with that it does kind of dictate what we call reality to some degree, like you said, like once you start thinking maybe hey, I'm just thankful to be alive, every decision now becomes kind of slightly skewed. Hey man, what's up, you want to go?
No.
I am gonna do that, let's go. Like, for real, yeah,
Yeah.
I never fucking, why not? Like, there you go. And then that's one of those weird like cliches. Hey, live like it's your last. Yeah, man, for sure. What's up? SOS.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
within reason, because some people are like live like it's last. All
I
right,
mean,
feel me.
YOLO. They're
You know
they're
what I'm saying?
making fun of it
Right?
almost. Like, hey man,
Yeah.
that's sacred.
No, like
It's
yeah,
sacred knowledge right there.
like live like it's the last. I mean, it's not guaranteed, but also enjoy it and cherish it. So you live like it's like
Mm-hmm.
live today but plan for tomorrow. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That's like you
Yeah.
should do it. Some people don't. But it's funny you say like how like looking at things and how they're all created because as a mathematician, because one of the things I would say is the most enjoyable thing for me is when I watch like the making of movies. That shit just like blows my mind on how someone had this idea. And some of it is like, how did you get that effect? And you look at it, it's like, yeah, so we did this, blah blah blah. Like,
Mm.
well, this is how we had to create the lightsaber. So we took this electric sound and then we ran it to this tape and slowed it down. It's like,
Come on,
shrung.
man.
Like,
Yeah.
did you watch that? Like, I'm pretty sure you watched them how they talk about how they make the lightsaber sound.
I don't think I watched that specific video, but in terms of the general speaking idea, what you're saying, fascinating.
Dude, like sound like people doing sound design or like how did you get that how did you shoot this to make it work? Well, this is how we do it. Like all right, like for instance, like on Lord of the Rings, how they do angle manipulation to make someone look taller based off
Mm,
of how the I'm still trying to figure that out with the camera. I was like, how? Like you can make certain things by how the camera or lens is filtered or centered, someone can look taller just based off of offsets or whatever. So
Mhm. It's
it's like,
that
how'd you
golden
guys come up
ratio
with
thing,
that?
right? Isn't it
Yeah.
that golden ratio thing, that little snail thing, and then that's like applied to the camera to some degree?
Oh, you know what? You know what's funny? I know what you're talking about. I haven't done the theory on that. So I know what you're saying is this because you got ones that are boxes and you got the golden ratio that then you have other ones that have different design patterns or whatever, which I have no fucking clue about because I never did the research on it. Maybe should maybe enhance my third eye.
Hey man, I'm telling you,
Yeah.
photography, they say was created like in the 1700s, maybe or something like that. Videography, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's like anything else. It's like GPS. It's like the internet, and they had that shit for at least like 50 to 100 years before they gave it to us.
Bruh, like it's funny because I remember watching, you know, like what Neil deGrasse said that there's no such thing as like time travel, but it's like technically not theory, not really, but he used photography as a sense of time traveling because you can look at a picture and you can go back to that time. I was like, I mean, in theory,
Mhm.
yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, if you want to manipulate words however you want to manipulate it, fine, that's true.
But now
You get
put
what
an
I'm saying?
Oculus on, and then now that environment, you submerge yourself in that era and at that time in real time. That's what I'm saying. Neil deGrasse Tyson and anybody who says anything, you almost have to think, all right, then they're lying.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I see it. Just for kicks, because you got to think like, at least in today's world, you got to think the stuff they've told us. You could pinpoint anything, and you could be like, "That's a fucking lie," and not in a messed up way. It's like, all right, what's the opposite? Oh, that's way more fascinating. And you could almost make the argument. There's enough out there to, entice your mind to at least spark you to believe, some reality and give you some type of hope deep down. Like you said, the genius of movie making, like people make fun of Marvel, right? And we comic book
Mm-hmm.
heads. I love comics, so to see it visually represented, hate or not, just the idea that, this is the story they tell me. I don't really believe it. Stan Lee, and his bunch of writers, I can't name all the writers. Credit to all those guys, because whatever knowledge they had to get that on paper or they got credited with it, that's insane. And then for it to play out visually, and for
Yeah,
us
because
to
like
watch it
some,
like it's cool. Like I'm like, dude, this is either something real because we out here not tripping. Like we out here like, oh, that's cool entertainment. I'm like, mother, that is most likely
uh,
real than it is fake at this point. Orcs
well,
included, Lord of the Rings as well. That to me
it,
is a true history. That is not a lie.
it, it's funny because like as you look at it too, when you go back and at least with Marvels, like they say art imitates life. We talked about this, but it's like these guys are smart because some of the stuff they wrote about were either there are either high or manifestation books that they read before. Because like Professor X is a person who can control your mind, which is one and then now we live in a day where it's like, hey man, if you control your mind, you control your. And it's like, oh, that's Professor X shit, right? Or just certain mutant powers that is like when you get older, you're like, huh, you know,
Mhm.
some of these things now are being put to play, are being like kind of not proven true, but like they were just people who thought forward that might have pushed other knowledge, which either means that they knew or they were just really smart people. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, that's what I don't know. Is this the genius of humans or is this like lost history, just kind of retold to us? I mean, there's always those things they talk about story arcs, six
Yeah.
characters that are just always based off of that. A lot of them astrological. There's these certain principles in movie making that are, followed. Some do it a lot better or artistically. Whoever dons the greatness, if it's a media thing that pushes it or it's truly some weird admiration, hard to say. But either way, these things play a very important tool in our, I think, day to day lives more than they lead on, because they
Mm.
casually brush it off like it's just entertainment, and I think there's a level of that. But I think the problem now is that entertainment is more of people's lives than it is anything else, where that was supposed to be a break from your, what we're doing, maybe like analyzing and trying to really work your thoughts out and, you know, uh, practice your, thoughts and inner things and work all your shit out. And then once you need a break from that is when you go to entertainment. I think what's happening is like, nah, I think that's just 24 hours of my day. Like just entertainment, which
Yeah.
is clearly fun. And I think that's what we're trying to really maybe figure out or try to work with. I can only assume a lot of this shit goes away, like how TV, for instance. You know, we had like what 10, 12 channels when we grew up, and then it went to 100. The black box only went to like 100 something, and then
Yeah,
the dish
and 30%
thousands.
of that was porn.
Exactly. See, and
Yeah,
now it's like the same thing. Streaming, you're like, dude, oh, I got all these other ones. You're like, dude, there's nothing to watch. How is this possible if there's nothing to watch? Okay, so then what is the internet gonna do? It's like, all right, there's all this shit. Okay, we're just gonna kind of just give you this nonsense and some goodies here and there. It's kind of what it is.
do you ever think that this might sound weird? Weird theory that the more access you have, the more closed minded you become.
Yes, but with a asterisk.
Okay, I
Is there a
always
universal way that people navigate whatever the internet or the social media is now?
I mean, I think everybody watches YouTube. Honestly, that's one thing that most
Meaning,
people
like
will
when they
watch.
first open up their browser, it's on YouTube first out the gate, or is there a sequential thing that happens to get to YouTube?
I think YouTube has now became one of like next to Netflix the highest watch things because what happens is somebody has a question or they have a they I mean and I'm just based off of me. Someone has a question, a thought, they go to YouTube and it kind of you're instead of going and reading it yourself, you're going to YouTube and let someone else explain it to you,
Mhm.
which is a whole different problem too, right?
Mhm.
And a lot of people just go there to get information about something and they're not going and reading anymore. They're just going and having someone else read for them. So
Mhm.
YouTube is one of the things, and then sometimes social media because some people rather look at pictures, which are going back to hieroglyphs like oh titties, oh basketball, oh
Emoji,
something
emoji, emoji.
emoji, sunny, something funny, right? So uh, yeah, I think that the reason I just say that part about the more options you have, the more narrow you become, is that sometimes some of it is overwhelming. And then some of it also is that once you like something, you know what you like, so you just go after that, right? But then the other part is once you like something, then the algorithms are getting thrown to your face a lot. And so all you're doing is seeing that, you know?
It's like TV on steroids.
These are pretty good arguments, right?
Oh, I agree. I'm right there with you. I don't think that's a crazy theory at all. I think that is I think that's more accurate. And I don't know how people universally knew how to start um navigating things because I think I'm in the think tank of people navigate these media sites more or less the same, you know, and what YouTube has become
Oh
versus the
yeah.
early days. It is kind of like a TV guide, but now it's visual. It's like little videos, and it's kind of condensed and promoted in such a manner where there is what you're looking for, but we're gonna surround that shit with a whole bunch of other shit like that you may or may not want to watch. You know, some of it usually is in agreement with you, but we'll throw in some other shit. And it's like you trying to find just what you're looking for becomes harder and harder and harder.
And no, that part. Woo, I just said that because that part is like sometimes I'm like, all right, how can I look this up? And then it's like I think we talked about this a couple episodes ago. Is like even Googling something, you have to have very specific stuff because if you say it wrong the wrong way, it's not going to give you that. And then on top of that, you're like, I know this might exist, but I don't have the proper words to say that. And if you're not doing the proper search functions, it's going to give you some other shit, and it's going to repeat the same. Like it's so weird. Have you ever done stuff where you type in something on Google, right? And you're like, that's not what I'm looking for. And literally, you just reverse the words, and all of a sudden, it pops up. Have
Hmm.
you ever done
The
that?
sequencing of the
Where,
words, yeah.
like the sequencing of the words will like give you a different thing at times. So yeah,
Hmm.
it's like it's sometimes harder to find certain things. Like even like I said earlier, I'm really surprised that there is no database of like, oh, these like there's no correlation or no one did a study like these jobs can have these type of crimes that come with it.
Maybe it's
You
hidden
know?
on purpose.
Yeah, maybe because they don't want people to know the blah 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 is a blah blah blah. You know?
I mean, if it's the functionality of our community, it's best served not known, right?
Yeah,
What you
yeah,
don't know don't
like
hurt you.
yeah. Well,
You
I
want to
mean,
know how the hot dog is
well,
made?
right, right. Like just just like you said, like imagine, like, oh yeah, cops do this. I knew it. It's just gonna raise certain people with cops. Or
Mhm.
you're saying like, oh yeah, teachers are more likely to have inappropriate relationships with kids. I'm not taking my kid. It's gonna fall apart the public school system or even
Mhm.
all school systems because it's not just public; it's private too. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
It's just all those things that can go with it. It's just it could destroy the establishment of whatever it is. You're right. You're right.
It makes it
That's
feel
a good point.
extreme. That's why it's almost like maybe we are overreacting on both sides, and we kind
Oh,
of
we
have to.
fucking are
Yeah, because
massively.
then maybe we're getting rid of things that do make sense, and maybe the other things are being just over dramatized just to kind of slip one thing in. It's like the gas thing, man. They pump it up to 13 a gallon. People getting fucked up, right? But
Yeah,
like a dollar, that's cool. We ain't gonna get that mad. Like, ain't no one fuss about this. You know what I'm saying? We ain't at the Capitol with fucking signs for this shit. Once it gets to 8, 9, I can see it getting a little hairy. But even 8, 9, I can see people like, this just makes sense. Like, I can see that. I can see that. And I
yeah.
think that's kind of how it works. It's just kind of like, it's really a game of chicken. What do you believe? What do they believe? What are they trying to impress on you? And what are you willing to do? You gonna leave? Yeah, I'll fucking leave. Fuck that. Man, it's fucking hot over here. Like, that's as simple as
Right.
it is.
Yeah, yeah.
You didn't
Like,
know
oh my
California
god.
got nice ass weather? Like, God, I mean, I'm not saying that's why we pay high taxes, but I think it's just, if it's happening on media, that's one thing. Whatever is in your surroundings, like much you're engaged in it. I think that's the problem is because if a lot of people have been working from home, especially in our neck of the woods, if we're a state, state is a large portion of the people that live around us. State work is thoroughly weaved
Yeah,
into our community. So, you have to account for that. And a lot of these people have been at home. So clearly you're not communicating with people on a normal basis, nor not seeing them. And we are seeing more, you're just seeing more of what's been on the internet. Maybe that's what's making the veiled feeling of what me and you speak. But then when you really think day to day, and if you kind of avoid that from time to time, or maybe it's disengaged, there are moments when you're out camping or shit like that. It's a stark contrast. Maybe the world isn't in chaos. And that's why I think right now it's just heightened, on every level. They're just trying to turn the dials a little bit. Like, oh, the Olympics here, and this just coincides with this. Like, yeah, was everybody trying to clown on America somehow? In Venezuela, look at that. You see that? America, are you ready for this? Like, what the fuck is that? That's in a totally
and
different
now I gotta look
country. I
at
don't know what the fuck's going
now I
on.
gotta look up. Yeah, now I gotta look up Venezuela. What's
Oh,
going on
you ain't got
there?
to look it up. You just said it. It's fine. All your media is gonna get it. It's all good. It'll be in your algorithm in no
Oh
time.
yeah, yeah. I'm pretty sure we'll. It's like,
You ain't even
oh
got to
snap.
say it. You just got to think it, bro.
Okay,
That's me
okay.
and my
Hold
boys
on.
at work talking about that.
Big
I
booty hoes, big
swear.
booty hoes, big
I'll
booty
tell
hoes.
you. But really, you're saying
Big
Taco
booty
Bell in your head.
hoes. Taco Bell,
You are.
boom.
Yeah, every
Yo,
time, bro.
yo quiero Taco Bell. What?
Come on, man.
Whatever happened to that, right?
This is the
Whatever.
argument I make is like, yo, this is our fault. And this is the whole like accountability thing. It's like this is our fault, our generation's fault. Maybe Gen Z a little bit, but it's
Fuck
mostly
yeah,
our
thank
fault.
you, thank you. I'm glad you agree with me on that one because I feel
It
the same
is.
way.
It
Like,
is.
there's a
It's
lot of things.
it
There's a lot
is.
of things like with kids right now, right? Like,
Mm,
if
mm,
people are, we are of the age now, right, and we've been of the age to vote for at least 20 something years, right? 24 years, or depending on when you were. See that you voted in 2004 for the first time, because it's every 4 years, right? So you look at it, that's 20 years, right? So in the last 20 years, maybe the first four, 2004, we're not educated as much. 2008, we're not educated as much. 2012, we're getting a little bit more educated. Educated. 2016, now we're adults to be actually making change. 2020, we're making change. Now it's this, and now it's like, oh my God, what's going on? Well, by that time, some of these people already had kids and have raised these kids to be whatever they want with no responsibilities, want to be friends, whatever it is that you believe in.
mm.
And now we're in a situation where, depending on how you look at it, some people saying people don't want to work, people want to work. It's hard to get people to do certain things. Certain jobs are not being fulfilled, like medical field, or because social media. And guess what? Some of that is spearheaded by our generation. It's a trickle down effect
Mm.
of Reaganomics.
Yeah.
Some of it is because of us. And now we're seeing some people, right? Depending on how you look at it, some people are shifting the other way and seeing the errors to them and the way of how things were raised, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Because, like I said, some of it is like, all right, so I do think it's funny because some people who are saying woke culture or whatever are some people that in 2004, when it was against Bush, were considered woke people for that era. You
Mm-hmm.
know, can't trust President Bush. President Bush did this. Did you know 9/11 was a planned attack? Blah 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 blah. Now shifting over to another week,
Mm-hmm.
right? Some of those same people are like, think about what's going on. It's not real, blah blah blah. But now it, depending on how you look at it, it's shifted onto another side, and now they're
Mm-hmm.
arguing a whole different thing. Trust me, I know. I've been one of those people, right? I'm like, I was like, I never thought I was gonna join the military. I was like, fuck that. I ain't doing nothing for this country. The country ain't never done nothing for my black ass. I was like, hold on, time out, y'all. Wait,
Mm-hmm.
is it that serious?
Yep.
What part of it is our own? Not talking about black people. I'm talking about people in general. But so, what if it's some of our own undoing? What's
Mm-hmm.
real or not? What is this?
Mm-hmm.
Sure, 9/11 was this and that. Maybe At the end of the day, really, let's just be honest. Like, it doesn't matter who's in office.
It doesn't.
It doesn't matter. I'll just leave it at
It's
that.
what it
It
did
is just.
to us in general. Now that there's been so many years, and I think that's us. Roosters coming to roost. We
Mm-hmm.
gotta we gotta face
And,
the music.
and some of it was like, I didn't like how my parents didn't support me, and I'm gonna be there for my kids, and they didn't love me the way I need to be loved. And you go
Mm-hmm.
to your kids, and you're like, yes, go ahead and eat that chocolate till midnight. Go ahead and eat all this stuff. You know what? I'm not gonna yell at you. You know what? I'm
Yeah.
not gonna hold you accountable for a kid stomping on someone's face in a basketball game. Oh,
Oof.
I'm not gonna say. Did you hear about that one?
I did hear about that one. Yes.
Right,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
right.
Yes.
I'm not. You know what? I'm not gonna do this, or I'm not gonna. Yo,
Mm-hmm.
whatever happened. Now, granted, too, let's go back many years ago. There used to be times when neighbors could beat the shit out of someone else's kid. Neighbor's kid was like, all right, thank you for taking care of that.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
what happened was there was some fucked up people during that time was like, I'm just gonna beat the shit out of this kid,
Mm-hmm.
or
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna, you know, take advantage of this kid
Mm-hmm.
to a point where now certain parents in California don't know if their kids can transition, but then they have all the financial responsibilities of the kid and can't like ask their kid certain things. It's like, wait a minute, I am paying for this, depending on how you look at it. I'm paying for your health care. I'm housing you. I'm feeding you. And I cannot say or do anything to raise you or say I don't agree with that because it could be harmful. Now, depending on how you look at it, some people are like, well, it's because of abuse of other parents, blah, blah. I'm saying this doesn't make sense to me just because it's like, well, financially, if I'm doing all these things, it literally, I think I said this a couple weeks ago. It's literally you're paying an HOA fee raising kids. You have a house, you pay a fee to have the house, you're paying all this stuff. But if you do something to your house and the HOA does in a association does agree upon it, you can't do that. And
Yeah.
it's like, wait, what? Wait, right? What? So why am I
What
paying all this
is
money for
this?
this?
Exactly. Why? Why am I paying all this? And I mean, that's the thing. It's like at a certain point, it's almost, all right, what's going on here, folks? Like, it's all fun and games
And
now. Haha, men have arrived. What the fuck is going on?
yeah,
All right, cut it out. Stop.
and I'm saying this to say, like, if a kid's transition or whatever, that's what it is. But to sit there and say a parent shouldn't know doesn't like that doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, see, but I think that's one of those things. It's like driving this whole trans movement, LGBTQRS Like, they're just trying to see what they get away with. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
people are aware that this is a very small percentage of people. It is unfortunate in the idea of human to human interaction. Whatever if it is a public stunt or if it's a really specific situation being blown up, you feel for the people that are involved of becoming involved with this on any level, whether it's the child, whether it's the parents, the school system, and whatever messy entanglement this is. But it's not common, and I think it's just
Yeah.
one it's like an abortion situation. Abortions are not common in the sense of how many people have kids. I hope that's not the case, but
I forgot you're the one that told me that if you look back at it, like abortion was higher in the '90s than it is now.
Mhm.
I was like, what? I looked it up. I was like, damn, this motherfucker's right.
That's
But
just the stats. I don't know how much you want to believe it, but
well,
that is a
no, I
crazy
know
thing
because
though, because that's the
that
one thing
is
you
the
can
stat.
track.
That is the stats, and that's like kind of because like you said, stats are only taken if someone was willing to give it, right? So that's a whole
Mhm.
different, a whole other story on
Yeah,
that.
yeah, 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 yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and at the same time, as I say this about like the transition or thing, I can see how someone would say, well, when I grew up, did I have to tell my parents if I had sex or anything like that, or do what's the thin line between like you taking care of your kid and spanking your kid? Because now, for a while, I remember I was growing up. Trust me, I'm not saying this to everyone. I'm not saying, but this is who I am. I'll tell you what. When I heard that kids can call CPS if their parents spank them, I tried to test it, and I got spanked doing it because I was afraid. But I was trying to test it. I was like,
Oh
"Oh, you
man.
can't spank me. You can't do this. I'm gonna get away because I'm gonna live my life. I'm
Oh
gonna call
no.
CPS." And then I got off the phone. I tried to call. I got my ass beat. I was like, "I ain't calling again."
You
And
go
you know what?
alert.
I deserve that because
Mm,
wow, some of these kids need to be getting spanked. But I'm not saying the kids need to get beat up.
mm,
But I'm just saying when we're growing up, I think you remember that there's times when people saying, "Oh my god, you
mm.
can call your parents if they start to spank you." Well, the question is, like, the problem is if you're relying on a kid to sit there and say what they've done. I'm not saying that some of it's true or not. I'm just saying that most kids can't sit there and discern certain things. You get more discernment as you get older.
See, and that started with us. All these kid movies, man, where kids were in
Mm.
charge. That little seed that's
Yeah.
planted.
Who's
Little seed,
who's the
little
boss?
seed.
Who's the
Who's the
boss? Right? That was
boss?
a
Home
yeah.
Alone, Big. Oh, you're a kid. I could live by myself. Look at that. Kevin survived in New York during Christmas. Oh, I wish I could do that. Live in a hotel by myself. Like that's the kind of shit they were seeding us. Nickelodeon, all that stuff. Like just taking that crazy aspect. Like it's dotted in there. We're separating. We're living in a double income household. We're the generation that's part of that. They selling
Yeah, yeah. No,
freedom to
no, that's
women.
true.
They selling freedom to women. Like, hey, you want freedom to go work at a place like your husband and pay them fucking taxes? You want to be free women? Go do that. Like what? You tripping?
Yeah, no, and it's funny. It's funny you say that because like I was
You want to
literally
be
thinking about that
liberated?
earlier.
Go get a
You want
job.
to be, yeah, I was thinking about that because I was watching New Girl,
No
and,
diss.
and
No
one of the
diss.
things, no
No
this,
diss.
but I
No
was
diss.
watching
No
New
diss. No
Girl,
diss. No
notice,
diss. No. No. I just no diss. No
notice,
diss.
notice, 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 there's no diss,
No diss. No
bars.
diss. Bars.
Uh, what I was gonna go is I was watching New Girl and I love that show, but I was watching it. It's like one of the things I started watching later was like one of the girls was kind of telling a guy you need to be a man and whatnot. And I'll be the first one to admit that's like one of the things that's my pet peeve. Like, don't do that, right? Just because I grew up when I couldn't tell women shit, right? I'm just being real. I couldn't tell girls how to be a man or whatever.
Mm,
You know,
mm.
I was trying to teach them, learn that they can do everything. I was like, okay, and I was an ally, right?
Toxic.
I'm an advocate. I'm an ally. I'm a whatever. You know how people say that? I'm an ally of black people. Ugh,
Oh, for sure.
I feel so weird.
That
What
is
am I like
awkward.
a foreign country? I'm a foreign country. I
You a
don't know.
policy, bro.
Yeah. I'm an ally, right? Like You're part of the UN, right?
Yeah, you a
Like
coalition, bro.
yeah. um. So and I was watching, it, and so the girl, it caught me that like I saw one girl who's like be a man, blah blah blah, and then these girls want to be independent and strong, and it was like I don't recall if in the show the men ever told these strong women to be women. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
To know how to cook or do other things. And it was just one of these things where it really tripped me out because it's like I don't care. You go get your money. Honestly, I don't care.
Yeah, we don't
Go,
actually
go,
care,
I
like
don't. I
at
don't
all.
care. I don't care. Like I'm like cool. Like
Yeah, that's
to
a
me,
cool
there's a
hobby
part of
you
me that's
have.
like you bring in the money. I love it. Like bring in the money too. I love it.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
But once you bring in the money and you're trying to tell me how I'm supposed to be acting, and I have no statement to tell you how to act, at least according to the new age stuff, right? Now, the men can't do that. Like I'm still learning because we just said we're like one of the most feminist podcasts.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
one of
for
them.
sure.
I try not to do that. I don't know how to do that properly. I'm just saying like it just rubs me a certain way. Like I'm out. You go
Mm.
get your money. I don't have a problem with it. You go do your thing. I don't have a problem with it. But you trying to tell me how I'm supposed to be? If it's in a relationship, you want me to do certain things, like, hey, I need you to help me clean up. Okay, hey, I need you to fine. But you're trying to say that this is a man, then all hell should come out, and I should tell you how to be a woman.
See, we're just at a we're at a low timer. If men was a stock, we are taking a dip along with the Dow Jones. Like we are down. We are down.
I
We are
think we're,
down
I think
low.
we're, I think we're, I think we're gaining. I think we're gaining because I
But
think
see,
there's a
my
lot of
thing
women.
is long term, our prospects are like buy now, buy the dip because men about to the moon, in my opinion. It's already
Mm,
grumbling. It's grumbling. I think with our generation, it sucks because there is going to be a weird divide for a while, if not forever. This is a very large splintering of our generation since the 2008s and the 2000s. This is going to be a splinter
yeah, yeah.
in
Because
our gen.
I think a lot of us have been this way, and this is where we were like, all right, time to say fuck you. And this is
Sayonara, bitch.
where our generation civil war comes up, right? Where
Yep.
we're gonna be very hard, like, no, this is
Mm.
stupid, and no, blah blah blah, or no, everybody should do whatever they want. That's not,
They're
yeah.
laying out what the next couple years are probably going to be like in terms of what slowly starting to change. It's
Mm-hmm.
being geared for us now. And my thinking is in your 20s and 30s, programming is, like you're still trendy, you're still in the game, at least in our mind, in our young minds, like we are at our, like
Mm-hmm.
this is our prime, like, the NBA, like, this is when I'm at my elite, like I am peak form. And then, where we're at now, it's like, oh man, we're out of that. Like, but this is the new shit. Fucking the politics game, the taxes game, the humanity game, the climate control game, the abortion game. This is the new game, because they're now trying to vie that for our attention because now we become the next big class of voters. So now all this program is
Mm-hmm.
going to be geared towards our gen. And I think right now where men have been, since our inception, the slow seeding of, at least in the public eye and how the narrative and the story is, women empowerment, both, in pop culture and music itself. There's a lot of that.
Yeah, you know what?
And I
I,
think
I'll
things
probably
are
say
scaling.
I'll probably say our generation has the lost generation of men.
Mm-hmm.
Because what I say, I want to, or the reason I say this is I think your brother's generation had it, and isn't
Mm-hmm.
that just to women? I think the women also, you know what? Honestly, that generation of women also were strong, but also kind of supported their men in a certain way. Well, I think our generation and below is the lost generation of men, but I also think that the younger generation is regaining that in their own. Some of it is cool, some of it's kind of toxic, but in their own way. You know what I'm saying?
This
Because
has
I
got
think
to
that our
break a
generation
couple
was,
of eggs to make an omelet.
yeah, but you get what I'm saying?
They get their
Like
chance to figure it out. We did our dumb
there,
shit.
yeah,
They're doing
we did
theirs.
we did our thing, you know, our thing,
Yeah.
you know, a lot of Jodeci, a lot of music soul child we listen
A
to,
lot of leather,
but a lot of R. Kelly, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, dude. I
You
mean,
know what I'm saying? You know,
with the good comes the bad. We have in
yeah.
reflection, it's like that's our journey, at least in the pop culture. Now everybody has their own little lives, but that is the thing that kind of binded us. And as we continue to this world, this is the world of, division. This is politics. This is tear it right down the middle so we could get you guys into whatever we can get from you out of relevancy to make way for the next, 40-year-olds. And then their programming changes. And then we have new shit, Like I said, we talked about we're going to be retiring in fucking gaming halls. You know what I'm saying? Like, just streaming
Right?
live and shit. And just, it's going to be like
Like,
in a frat house and
what?
shit.
Like, let me put on my dentures. Hold
Oh,
on, I
man.
don't have the glasses. I wish I had the
Dog,
glasses right now where I can put
dog,
my
you know
dentures.
what's going to be? We're going to look younger than what we are now, bro.
Yeah, because of course we are. Because some of us gonna have like double D tits that still last like 50 years.
Mhm. There's gonna be some pills or some medicine or some way of life that we figured out, and then we will be reverse aging, and then we will be integrated with science. Like even me, the detractor of like, yo, man, keep it natural, no robots. It's like, all right, it's inevitable. Best outcome scenario, damn, we gonna have this weird, George Jetson situation. And it's gonna be dope
Yeah,
because we about to be some weird, way of life, maybe where, we just become younger and we'll be laughing like, yo, we still doing this and we
as
gonna
I
look like kids. Like, hey, dude, this is crazy. Even though I'm like
yeah
87, bro, I'm like looking like I'm
yeah
17.
yeah skibbity wibbity, whatever they say now. I don't know that new statement the kids be saying.
Exactly. See?
Walking around in Crocs like, hey, what's up?
Nah, we ain't even
Hey,
gotta say
change
that,
that.
bro. See, that's us trying to be in their world, but nah, we gonna be over here in our Air Force Ones wearing baggy jeans, like, yo, fuck that, we back. Jinko jeans is
Yeah.
back, Jack Cross color,
Hey
we
yo,
in, you know
throw
what I'm
that
saying?
Nelly back on.
Yeah,
Throw
get
that
Nelly
Nelly
back
back
on there,
on.
you know what I'm saying? Wear my FUBU
Eminem's
jacket,
coming back.
wear my
Eminem's coming
Cybertech,
back. Yeah.
Carl
What's
Kanai,
that?
give me my lugs.
You.
You, that was even after our time, but yeah, that is our
No,
squad though. So, but that's our
but
squad.
technically that is our time.
That's our squad. That's what I'm saying. So be with them too.
That's
I'm like, yo,
technically because we are the
tall
elder state.
tees. Come on, man.
We are the elder state millennials, so we probably
Yeah,
identify more as Gen Z or Gen X on certain things.
yeah.
But when you really think about it, like
We the biggest in terms of numbers, so that's why we're the majority
as of right now, right? I mean,
in
let
perpetuity,
me
man.
see
You
it.
think people having more kids or less? Come on, baby.
There are actually kids. People are having less. I mean, because I'm not having kids right now. Like, I
Exactly.
mean, now that I'm taken care of. Ooh, I don't know.
Ooh,
Soldier Boy. I want to see. Let's see. How old? Uh, let's see. All right. Just because we want to know, you're where I'm 42. So Soldier Boy is 34.
boom. He's right in the mix. He's right in the
He's
mix.
right. He's the younger age of it, but he's in the mix
He's
of
the first of it.
the
Give him credit. He's the first.
he is, and that was
He's the
like in
MC Hammer
2000,
of our age.
and that was in oh yeah, because he did it when he was young.
No,
So that
it's
was
the
like in
fact that
2000.
his status of
But
money is
what
like
I'm saying is like,
outrageous.
well, because he did it when he was a 16-year-old, right? Just like Lil Wayne kind of did it, right? Like what I
Mm.
mean by Lil Wayne was a youngster in that Gen X thing, right? But he did this way, like when you think about it, he's 34 years old now, born in 1990. So he was approximately 16 years old, 15 to 16 years old when Crank That came out. Okay.
Mm.
Now the crazy part about this is that he was 15, 16 years old. And this is why I remember I come back from deployment and I said, what the fuck is this shit? And I'm seeing grown ass men that and I'm like, which is why you gotta watch Atlanta, by the way, because there's an episode of like someone trying to go around and kill anybody who did that Crank That Soldier Boy
Oh, geez.
video. Um so you're looking at like, so you're coming back like, what the fuck? And for some odd reason, I think it's always weird when youngsters be like old people be dancing to young people shit. I could never get into Justin Bieber because I'm like, yeah, I'm like, dude, I'm 24 years old.
True.
What am I gonna do? Baby, 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 oh, like what the fuck do I look like to me at that time?
Of
You know what I'm
course. Of
saying?
course. Of course.
Like what I look like? For some reason, if they're below 20, I ain't listen to that shit.
Mm. See, that's what we
Right?
still in our little
Right?
still
I'm
in
like,
our
I ain't
thing, yeah.
listening to that because I like what do I have to relate to that? Crank that,
Mm.
but like, and so all right, to go back to him, he's 15, 16 years old, and then I look at him. Now this is a trippy thing. Look, this dude's probably been rich since he was 16 years old. Why you look like that? Why you look like that, dude? Kind of like Chris Brown. Like, did you have to do all that?
Mm.
You've been rich your whole life, but then you want to be thugged out. Not in your whole life. Since you've been in a situation to have a lot. Now, granted, there's other things that go on with it, meaning that people are probably trying to jack him with money. You're probably seeing things he hasn't seen.
Crazy world.
You know what I'm saying? Crazy
Agreed.
world. But I
Agreed.
watch it, I'm like, what is going on for you to act the way you act when you've had money since you're 16 years old?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And even when you look back at the innocence of them, as you get older, you obviously you change. But it's like you see the innocence of them, and now you look at them like there's nothing innocent about these people now.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mhm. Mhm.
Granted, like you said, you see things that you're not supposed to see. You do things you get access to. You like I'm gonna say like this because he probably had money at 17 years old or 18 years old or something. There was probably some lady that was a streetwalker or a legalized streetwalker that was willing to do whatever because he had money.
I
Messed him
mean,
up.
that is, I would see, and that's the weird part
Mess him up, right?
because that's kind of like, the Michael Jackson theory.
The
That's
Diddy thing.
yeah, it's like the generation before Diddy was like, whatever Clive Davis or whatever those theories are. And then there's the Michael Jackson, stuff. And you're like, starts at a young
Well,
age. It's like we know this, but yet this is still perpetuating in just the storyline of it. I could, it's all speculation, but there are
yeah,
interesting narratives that always follow these situations, and it's cyclical, and it's almost like it's the strength of music and like to get to that platform to reach that many people with music and how much of it's creativity, how much of it's art, how much of it is, you know, like woo woo. Like there's a lot of elements that go into making music on all levels, and rightfully so. It's sacred. So it's like hard to say, but who determines and what gets out to the masses obviously is big money and paying attention to it. For better or for worse, entertainment as being what it is, but knowing, deeper tones to it, you're like, yeah, why does it gotta be like that? And what does that say about us? Like back to our point about our reality is a reflection of us as, and this is our all like we talk about, this is our fault, folks. So we gotta not necessarily clean it up. We just really gotta look at
take
that,
accountability of it.
know it what it is, and call it for what it is, and be able to, move on from it and just, you let them do their thing. They're still trying to entertain. They're entertainers at the end of the day. They have a fan base that they gotta uphold to, and if they are human like I suspect they are, like they gotta, to their constituency. You have to kind of play into
Yeah,
your role and can only hope the best for them and that's it, and we
you hope
understand
that
that
everything works
now.
out.
Yeah, because that's what we
You
try
know,
to tell the young generation. Young generation ain't trying to hear it because they're like, yo, man, our shit's real, bro. I'm like, hey man, just do you. We're just trying
whatever.
to do
Yeah,
our thing.
yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Yep,
And
whatever
this is
you
by
say.
design. Like somehow we're not supposed to pass down information to young generations.
Well. What happens now is because, and that's another thing that's kind of like weird right now. Is like we're not supposed to tell anybody anything because they need to go through their own stuff, which is true, right? I mean, I guess it's like you can't say this to the kids. They're gonna go through it. They're finding themselves for doing this stuff, or to embrace them on that. And I'm like, man, I don't know if that's right or wrong because yes, you have to let them embrace yourself, embrace and they grow. But it's like, shouldn't you also point out like, yo, this is not an avenue that I think you should go down?
Yeah. They're still
You know?
kids, at the end of the day.
Yeah, because you're supposed to guide them, and you're supposed to
Yeah.
guide them a certain way. And there's like, well, they have to find themselves. Well, they can find themselves after they turn 18.
Yeah.
You
That's
know,
that's
themselves.
that's the argument with teachers,
You
man.
know.
I agree. They are underpaid to a certain level. If we believe that education is the pathway forward for people, then teachers should be paid according to that, Um,
I
because
think
yeah,
they
that
are,
is
but
important to be able to have trust in somebody
I
to
think teachers
facilitate
are
that.
paid. I think at lower levels or not, but once they get going, they're paid accordingly. And what I mean is like someone make $90,000 to work 9 months out of a year, hard
Yeah.
months,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
but
Yeah.
they get all of you know what I'm saying,
Oh, that's true. That's true.
it,
That's true. They
right?
should be more scrutinized, if anything.
No, I'm just saying like they have a lot. They like it is it's they have a lot of responsibility with no control or whatever, but they also have like 2.5 months off as well, not including you know the Christmas breaks, the spring breaks,
Oh, yeah, that's
the
true. They
Thanksgiving
do got a
breaks,
cake
right?
schedule. That is a cake schedule,
I'm
folks.
not, but I'm not saying also
It's a
because they
cake
do
job.
have a lot. Because depending on some of them, like say if you're a math teacher and you're like, okay, I'm in here for 8 hours, then I
Mhm.
gotta fucking grade these things,
Yeah. Yeah. But the
you know,
passion's in
like,
teaching, and hopefully
right?
what comes with that is guiding young people to, hopefully is your best foot forward as a teacher. That's a lot of to accomplish because as a person, you would
Yeah,
hope that the vetting process is like, yo, we're trying to really hire like,
yeah,
great people. But that's the thing. It's because what you said, it's actually great money. It's security. It's cake and the idea of your scheduling is great. Hard work hard for it to be a job. That shit's really got a borderline between like this is like my life. Like you got to be in it like that. At least if you're thinking of putting, the best foot forward in that world of what we call education.
This
That's I think that's us our fault for not being accountable for that. Like damn it.
yeah, this is what I think. I think should they get paid more? Sure, yes, I do agree with that. Do when people say they're not paid well, that part is debatable when you see what they get too, right? Now,
True,
I'm not
true,
sitting there saying
true.
that I'm not downplaying that it's not stressful, that they have to deal with all type. Don't have to deal with the kids, they have to deal with the parents,
Boom,
right?
boom.
Like in a case, every kid is their and parent is their own CEO. You have to deal with that with your
Boom,
own CEO with the parent. So it's a different
boom.
stress, a different level. So I'm not gonna take that away. I'm just saying when you also look at like how much time they get off, you're like, oh, you get a lot of time off actually.
Oh, for
You,
sure.
yeah, and if you handle it right and your time off right, you come back re-energized or whatever. Some don't because
Ready to
people
go
are
at it.
terrible at time management. With that being said, too, before we go, I was going to say like about Soldier Boy to get back to a
Oh yeah,
certain
yeah, yeah,
thing,
yeah.
right? About like how he was exposed to certain things, right? I was going to say I don't know if he was or not, but I think there were statements saying that like Usher was exposed to things young. I'm
Mm,
pretty sure Chris Brown has, right? And what
mm.
happens is like, so you're a 16, 17-year-old boy. Just say, I'm just painting this picture,
Hey,
right? I'm not saying it's
exactly.
true.
Ain't true.
I'm not saying it's true. I'm
Story
saying
time.
you're a 16, 17-year-old boy. You're in the industry. You're living a good life. You got money. People know you got money. You got people who are not guiding you the proper way. You go down a certain path. And you have people, whatever. It's known who you are. And then you're like, hey, you know what? I no one can tell me nothing. Let me go ahead and get me a streetwalker, or let me go to this thing and be access to things that I probably shouldn't see at this age in America because it's different in different countries because we might hold things back, right? Now
Mm-hmm.
you get into sexual experiences, drugs, or whatever, right? Because people are like, you're a young man, you got that, right? And you kind of want access to this. Do you think that
Mm.
that's possible that this can happen?
Oh, for
That
sure.
young men and young actors
Man, we were
get into
deviants
the
by age 16, man. You give $1 million, any of us would be like, yo, I'm going to
okay. Now,
China
now,
to
now,
buy
now,
all the Jordans. Like, man,
now
no,
let
you're
me play
doing
a
something
devil's
crazy
advocate.
like that.
Now let me play devil's advocate, right? I'm 16 years old. Not me. I'm just saying. Imagine this: a 16-year-old, 17-year-old person, right? You got access to this dope ass house party. Yo, man, I'm about to go over here. Hollywood famous. They're gonna let me come in. Oh, yo, we're about to live it up. Would you like to go? Like, would you like to go? Yes, let's go. Oh my God, there's so many stars. There's so many things going on. Oh my God, yo, this person's hitting on me. Yeah, let me hang out with this person.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, that's a lot of young girls.
A lot of females. I mean, Hollywood's a weird
A lot
place,
of
man.
females. A lot of you know how many times I'm pretty sure when we were younger. I remember this. I remember when I was in high school in Southern California, there was a girl saying that she was dating a guy who was 19 and she was like 15 or maybe he was like 15, 20 or something like. So like, you're 15 years old. What is your man out of high school? It doesn't make sense to me. And I was like, what?
Mm-hmm. Oh, dude, they were making movies
Uh,
about that. Older dudes
so,
hanging out
so
at high school and
yeah,
shit.
yeah. You're pushing 17, 18, 17, 18 years old, and you get asked to go to a house party. You don't know,
Mm-hmm. I mean, shit, all those fucking what's those movies like Nerds and
right?
even yeah, whatever all those movies like with the
No,
slicks,
no.
all that shit. Yeah.
Actually, perfect movie. Perfect movie. I don't know if she was in college. I think she was going to get ready to college. Perfect movie was what was it? Not This Is 40. What was the one? It was one of the ones of the in the early 2000s, kind of like that Will Ferrell joke movies the whole time.
Oh shit.
It was like the frat one where the guy found out he
Yeah.
was like, I just had sex with my boss's daughter. She's still in high school.
Boom. Come on, bro.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, I know. I know. I forget the
Old
name.
old school, old
Old
school.
school. Yeah. Old school. Old school. Yeah. See? That's what I'm saying, bro. And that's wiped away from history. That's like lost in the ether. And that's what happens.
All I'm saying is that the people get access to certain things they're not supposed to because no one's really verifying checks to come in the house, right?
Mm, mm, mm.
I'm saying this. I'm pretty sure these same things happen to young men in the
Oh,
industry.
you think that's an actual like occurrence? The things that are
I'm
speculated.
saying what I'm saying is speculatory. What I'm saying is this: that I could probably say that people like Soldier Boy, Justin Bieber, Usher, Michael Jackson, young men that grew up in the Lil Wayne, young men that grew up in the industry, especially the music industry, probably had parties, probably went to things that they shouldn't have seen and experiencing at a young age. And I'm probably sure there was women that were willing to do things with them or to them.
This is like a scene in Alexander.
Would you agree?
I mean, that's you
Not
already
not
you already know
not
me.
not not to them. I'm just saying in general. Like,
Oh yeah, I think there's some ritualistic thing to that. Whether that's you look at it from the standpoint of like, blackmail, or you look at it in the standpoint of ritualistic, or some kind of exchange for goods or for, commitment. I think it's just more than music in a lot of ways, business obviously, but I think there are elements at least to get to certain, levels of um access maybe. I wouldn't say fame or fortune. Maybe it's some level of access or just like it's hard to say. It's speculative at that point, but I agree with you because there's levels to it. When you think you're in the door,
mm-hmm,
there's another door and another door and another door. And not even say those people are at the top door because you probably think that there are
mm-hmm,
more like 1,000 more doors on top of that. They're just telling us what they think that is, that we could handle, I think. And I think what's happening is the lid's kind of opening up a little bit. We're getting a little more of different narratives. I think seeding these things in people's minds, and as we discuss it, and you look at things and certain testimonies, some actual footage, almost as if you want to be a investigator and look into something, you could definitely get enough information to formulate an opinion. And I'm right on board with you, only because I think that music is one of those things. And like we talked about, it's not hard to convince a 17-year-old talented. Yeah, and I give it this. These people are talented. But to say that these are
yeah,
the only ones, you could say that there's a lot of people that have that same gift. And it's possibility that they're the ones that just took, the temptation, as some would say, and they battle back and forth. Some of these artists, have handled and openly, devout, faith, from time to time, certain times of their career, whether it's for you know, a PR stunt or whether it's in truth. They're human beings, I'm assuming, going back and forth, like you said, those encounters along paired with, having to go see the family on, Mother's Day. You're like, ooh, at the end of the day, there's that person exists. And imagine having that life and still being that person too. And that's, you have to account for that. And that's what, I look at that and that's got to be the ultimate sacrifice sometimes. And that's what you hear about, those things like the infamous Kanye mom thing and, that whole spiel like, yo, man, you sacrifice someone to get to the top. Like, damn, bro. Like, is that for real?
mm,
And I'm like, see, and that's where it becomes, like I even heard this broken down. I forgot. It's one of them, like deep down in the music. Like it was like ghost writing. It's like in
yeah,
the word itself. It's not necessarily a person who's not. I mean, maybe it is a person who's writing without a tag, like the William Shakespeare idea. Like it's a bunch of people that have collaborated and it's under this name or tagline. Or truly it is some weird like a spell or a book of spells that have been, concocted and re-rhymed into this sequencing. You math guy, that that is some universal language that is not really changed. So there's a way of computing these messages and possibly, some people say Shakespeare is one of the dopest rappers of all time. Throw that shit on a beat. We talk about some of these dopest MCs as straight poets. Just write it on paper. It reads different. Haiku it up, whatever you want to do. It's
yeah. I know.
it's
I can
crazy.
never tell the difference between a haiku and whatever and a chew.
The mystery of life, bro. But that's what I'm saying. They put these. it's these dudes are talented. These messages are out there. There's just so many of them, and you got to know that it plays something more than just what it is. So I'm assuming that in order to get on those airwaves, there's certain moments in time where there's little uh uh ports of entry where the world is able to access it for such a small amount of time, and then slowly it gets saturated and taken. But there's little nuggets of things that get spun through, and I think it's up to each own to really find, what music is, because the messaging's there. And there's also, this other mechanism where it's like, this is the frequency that is just for the NPCs. This is for these. That's what I'm thinking. If this is all energy, the whole talking points of energy, then music is that dial, you know, and people that are selective and really put a premium on an auditory and music really keyed in, I think, on a missing part of life that people don't really take into account. And this goes for all forms of music. So that's why when it comes down to like those access points of being able to influence people, if you find a talented person that has that shine that could affect people, like you would hold on to them at whatever cost. And it's a tool because you could push somebody out there and people ain't gonna buy it.
Yeah, that's true.
You gotta have some talent. Like all those people you mentioned, those were some of the favorite artists of most people, even including myself, for very large moments of time, if not right now. And you look at their story, it's like, damn, dude, you would have thought with the whole Michael Jackson thing and all the stories that come out now, you're thinking, we gotta either curve this shit or make it into it. But then in reality, you're thinking like, yo, that's just that world of Hollywood. That's just what they do. It's like I could only hope that that shit changes, but it seems like there's more than
I mean,
their
I think
fair
it'll
take of
change.
people that
I
want
think it's
that
going to
fame
change
still,
just
though.
because. Well, no. Well, first of all, if it's an opportunity for fame, I mean, we see it with, like, in my opinion, like social media influencers or whatever.
Mm.
like,
That's the new game, right?
I was
So,
out. Yeah, that's the new game. It's like even that. Like when I watch people, I'm like, I don't know how much obviously they're probably being honest to themselves or whatever that means. But like sometimes I watch it and some of them feel like they're entitled to certain things. So, like I was watching one guy talk about like he saw how there's now I'm following more camera people, right? And I saw this guy talk about how there's all these new Canon cameras that are out and just on display for camera people or whatever. And he's like, he is like, but the people who go there to the Olympics probably have their own cameras, right? The paid photographers. And so he was like, I have an option. How about you pay you fly out social media or influencers, YouTube influencers, and you fly us out there, and then we can do that. You have a bet against us to see who got the best shot. And then I was like, once again, now granted, I know the dude's probably joking around or whatever, but I'm like, once again, I'm watching this dude. I'm thinking like, why do social media influencers, YouTubers feel like they should even get that as an access to even have the option to do that, to like fly out a bunch of social media influencers and we can take and then we can do a challenge to see who gets the best shot
mhm.
because we're shut the fuck up. You already get enough. You know, like you know what I'm saying? Like you already, some of you guys already get enough. You already get
Oh
flown out
man,
places
that
to
yeah,
test these things.
that
Sometimes you
train.
guys get free stuff, and then you get this. This is what I believe they do. They get free stuff. Like, hey, how you doing? Sponsor, blah 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 blah. And then put it on YouTube as an anonymous name, or not YouTube, on somewhere to sell it to make also additional money off of the clicks that they're getting.
Mhm. That's what I'm
Right?
saying. That train left the station. Like I don't
I
know
just
when that happened. The Jordan years, maybe. Like when it was like, oh, branding as an individual. Oh, fuck yeah! Like, and then all bets are off. You know what I'm saying?
yeah
Focus on the face. Individuality. Even though these are team sports, we're gonna figure out a way to really hone in on like certain characters, and we about to turn this shit into a drama. And on top of that, we selling merch. Oh, and by the way, use a
yeah
nonprofit for how
yeah.
long? Like,
No, it's like yeah. That's funny. Nonprofit. It's kind of funny. Well, I think people always confuse it. Just because it says nonprofit doesn't mean you can't make a profit.
oh no, for sure, for sure.
Like, right? What I mean by that is like you can change the profit scaling of a nonprofit for you to make money.
Oh yeah, oh
Meaning like
yeah,
meaning
for
like,
sure.
hey, we adjusted the infrastructure where I get paid 70% of the nonprofit money.
Hmm. Oh, for sure.
You know what I'm saying?
And there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, it is charity at the end of the day. I mean, I think, wait, maybe all companies now are, I think, went private, but for a long time they were nonprofit. But, anyways, yes,
Yeah.
it is interesting. It is very interesting.
So anyway, I'll let you go.
Hey,
We'll
sky
jump
high, brother.
off.
Always thank you,
Well,
brother. I
was it a
appreciate it.
solid one? Maybe what I said was thank you. I love that because I do that all the time. Hopefully this was solid. Maybe I don't know until I talked about Hollywood. I got kind of crazy.
Dude, you're talking about shit that I think our generation be thinking, or if not already talking about. I think we're honestly
Hmm.
just putting it on wax. And if you're not, it's almost like, I mean, take it for what it is. You could dabble into any rabbit hole. It's just realize that the world we know it is not what it might have been, and it's for good reason. I think we just got to
Hmm.
go back to, what's that called? The scientific method. Got to draw on a hypothesis and go through the check downs and see what the results are and try it again. And the shit that really matters to you. If this is an election, you're looking at it as the idea of like looking inward to see like what shit you really value this time in your life. And I think
Yeah.
it's different for everybody. I think you vote what you value, and figuring that out, I think, is the key. They make it harder than what it is, but I think as an individual, it's maybe just a reminder to like try to align with what is it that you, at least what you achieve. And then when you converse, you're really just trying to hear what matters to people, and then you'll really figure out in your community what really people think. I think that's the key on a fucking wholesome level. But in reality, this is a fucking a divide, motherfucker. Everybody
Yeah. Right.
scatter into
Yeah.
small groups and then fight each other and
Yeah.
racists.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the Joker's like we're doing the expensive thing, but only one of you can join, and they all fight right. They kill each other. That first of all, that was a dope scene. But yeah. Anyway,
It's
yeah. I
genius,
think I
man. It's genius. It's like, this is the fight of man, dude. This is the yin and yang. This is our
yeah.
fucking little balance beam. We're just kind of, maybe we're here, but they make us feel like we're fucking what? It's like reality, like, just keep cool, man. Step the fuck up. Come on, man. Let's take responsibility. Start cleaning up house, little by little, internally first, clean your room, and then go from there. And then, whatever that translates to. I don't know what the world becomes, but certain things are already in motion. And it's like, control what you can control, man. But sky high forever, brother. I love it, man. Thank you for always tapping in. We good.
Sky high. Excuse me as I kiss the sky.